Welcome to EDU World Space.
Okay, question 1. Suppose that this year's money supply is $500 billion. Nominal GDP is $10 trillion, and real GDP is $5 trillion. So apparently, this question is asking us about the quantity equation. So we first write out the quantity equation is M times V equals to P times Y. And we know that the money supply given by the question is 500 billion. So it is 500 billion. And what is the nominal GDP? So nominal GDP is actually just the price times the quantity. So we know that this term equals to 10 trillion. 10 trillion. And the real GDP is the Y here, is 5 trillion. So with this information, we can answer question A. Question A is saying, what is the price level? What is the velocity of money? So if we observe this equation, we know that the price level is just 10 trillion divided by 2 trillion, right? So we get this divided by 5 trillion. So we get this P number here. So the price level here, P equals to 2. And what about the velocity of money? So what about V? So V is just 10 trillion divided by 500 billion. So V equals to, so 10 trillion is like 10,000 billion, right? So this divided by 500 B is is 20. So the velocity of money is 20 in this question. Okay, B, suppose that velocity is constant and the economy's output of goods and services rises by 5% each year. And what will happen to nominal GDP and the price level next year if the Fed keeps money supply constant? Okay, so in this question, we still have to take a look at this equation. And it is saying that what if the economy's output of goods and services rises by 5% each year? So why now increase by 5% each year? So we have an increase in Y here by 5%. So I would just write it down as 5%. What will happen to nominal GDP? So nominal GDP is the 10 trillion we have right here. So say if Fed keeps the money supply constant. So we know that velocity is constant and the money supply is constant, and this nominal GDP, this real GDP is going to rise by 5%. So to make this left-hand side constant, we also have to make this right-hand side constant. So the price here has to go down by 5%. So we have to decrease the price level in the economy to make this equation hold. So it is actually not exactly 5%. So if we say P times Y equals to a constant C, and then Y now is 1.05, Y equals to also this constant C. So using these two equations, we can calculate the real change in price level. So I will just broadly say that price level is going to decrease. Okay, question C. What money supply should the Fed set next year if it wants to keep the price level stable? So to answer question C, we have to ignore what question B is saying. So again, we still take a look at this equation, but we have to erase this constant here. Oh, I'm sorry, eraser. So suppose now the velocity is a constant. So this v doesn't change, and y increase by 5%. What money supply should the Fed set next year? If we now fix this p, so this is easier than question B because now we just have to increase the money supply in the same amount as y, which is also 5%. So increase money supply by 5% will do the job. Okay, the last question D is saying that what money supply should the Fed set next year if it wants inflation of 10%? So this is more difficult because now we have to change two items in this equation. So I will just I'll just erase the question here. So if now we still have this constant in velocity and this 5% increase in y, say now that the government wants this inflation to be 10%. So if we want this 10% in inflation, so the money supply, in order for this equation to hold, has to increase 15%. Yes, 10 plus 5 is 15. So we have to increase money supply by 15% in order to adjust for the inflation and also the increase in output.